Tonight, we're going to be looking at mysteries, stories, and everything in between from Reddit. So sit back, relax, and let's step into the darkness. Imagine you were going for a stroll in the forest, and suddenly you came across a small wooden cube. You open it up, and things just get weirder. This Redditor didn't have to imagine, because that is what happened to them. We'll start by saying I will not be uploading any photos as it could break the rules, but hoping to get some insights to this mystery that has been bothering my friends and I for a few years. It was brought up again tonight, so I have been prompted to ask the internet for opinions and thoughts. My friends and I came across a 3D wooden cube about 5 inches by 5 inches in the middle of a forest in the southeast United States a few years ago. It had photos of a family glued onto all of the sides, and there were repeat photos of the same family member. Not different pictures, cropped from the original full family photo, just zoomed in further and further. Appeared to be taken on a 2000s to 2010s era digital camera, so the photos appeared a bit dated. Where we found it has raised some questions, as have the actual photos. We found it in a pretty secluded forest area, quite a way off the trails of this area. Nothing really nearby. The only other nearby facility was a gas and fire station up the road from the entrance to this forest area. On a map, the cube had to have been close to 2 miles from anything other than a couple abandoned structures. Again, we were pretty far off the trails. The actual photos on this cube were eerie, especially with the emphasis on one specific family member. It was well made also. It wasn't just glued on as if it were a school project. There was precision and a sense of care that went into it. Some sort of protective resin overlaying, could see brushstrokes in some areas, making us think that this was homemade. With that in mind, there was still some weathering to it. The photos were washed from being in the sun, and there was some warping on some of the edges from rain. It had clearly been out there for some time. Obvious that it hadn't been recently placed there. It had seen a couple seasons. It was really by happenstance that we stumbled upon it, and we've been trying to find an explanation for why this random family photo cube would be in the middle of a forest. The best we have come up with is that this could have been some sort of memorial. Again, seems like an odd place though. Let me know what you think, and if I can provide any more information that could help give some sort of explanation. Edit. Here is the general area we were in for those asking. We were able to narrow it down quite a bit and believe we were in the general vicinity of Dawson Forest. We don't know what exact part though or where we parked. We know we passed a fire station, definitely some gas stations, and we were close to a park. However, it looks like those are distinguishing characteristics of a few different areas surrounding the forest. An interesting mystery, so let's see what it could be. Some commenters pointed out that in the 70s and 80s, photocubes were the thing. People were making them by buying or cutting their own square block of wood and then gluing a photo on each side. They then used special glue to officially seal it off, and maybe this was just one that was discarded. Obi agreed that this could definitely be a possibility, but also noted, like they did in the post itself, that it was definitely made in the 2000s or 2010s. Of course, this doesn't rule it out being a photocube because they're never going away, but it's good to have a likely time period to go off. Another person pointed out that the area is actually an abandoned nuclear aircraft lab, with people going to that location just to explore. That gave more credit to the fact it could be some sort of weird memorial, but it turns out the truth was far simpler. In an update, Opie revealed the truth. Huge shout out to another user for reaching out, comparing notes, and solving a multi-year mystery. The cube was part of a poorly planned / failed attempt at an ARG in the Metro Atlanta / North Georgia area amongst the urban explorer crowd several years ago. They had also come across similar, deliberately placed photos in an abandoned school in the area, about a year before my friends and I found the photo cube in the forest. The photos they found were placed on a chalkboard, and the chalkboard had a Discord link on it. They joined the Discord server and said the ARG never took off, mainly because the locations where the puzzles were placed were getting demolished before any explorers could find them. The Discord only had a handful of members, wasn't very active, and it was deleted well before my friends and I found the cube in the woods. Pretty interesting that we unknowingly walked into a dead ARG. My friends and I definitely thought that we had found some sort of obscure memorial and just haven't known what to think of it. It makes perfect sense now given the location. We don't know who the creator is and if they used photos of their family or stock images, so I'm still going to refrain from posting photos to avoid doxing anyone. I will make an update post if we can track down the creator and get their permission to share the photos. Thanks to everyone who contributed and reached out to get this figured out. It's nice to have a proper ending to one of these stories, and what a way to finish things off. The cube being an ARG makes sense, and it sounds like something that could have been really cool if things hadn't have gone sideways. I wonder just how many ARGs like this are left undiscovered out in the world. This Redditor was having disturbing memories of an older life, and they are eager to get to the truth. I am dealing with some memories that are leading me to believe I was abducted as a child and was living with a fox family. Most people don't believe me. If you have come here to get mad at me for opening up about this, please take it elsewhere. This stuff actually happens. I would assume y'all won't be so judgmental, but I have to safeguard, cause this happens a lot, and I'm about worn out with naysayers at this point. I grew up avoiding people on a deeper level. Deep shame. Deeply destructive self-hate. The whole 9 yards. Luckily, I came across some great resources for mental health over the years. I'm 29, maybe, and this past year I have woken up, so to speak, that I was deeply abused as a child and have been gaslit and groomed by my immediate family for as long as I can remember. I have memories extensive of stuff you cannot imagine and probably don't want to hear. Let's think toy box killers kinda stuff. The reason is I'm wondering if y'all as buffs on this kind of stuff would know maybe about a case that I haven't heard of. I'm trying to find my original family. Unfortunately, this is tough. It's kind of hard after 29-ish years to work through this, but I have memories of my dad saying he deleted this case from the internet. I guess he was big on the deep web at the time. Early internet. I believe that some connections to some kind of higher government may be there. Not anymore. They're retired and my mom works. I guess shit changes. I don't know. This memory could be wrong, but I'm honing in on my real name, I believe. They pretty much beat and manipulated me to forget my real name as far as I can tell. And even if I do remember completely, like 100% what it is, if he took it off the internet, I am screwed. And even if that's a lie they fabricated, not every missing child is on the internet. I've dug quite a bit and haven't found much, so what I'm wondering is if y'all would know about a specific case that sounds similar maybe to mine, if I give you some details. From what I can tell, I was stolen from my crib on an upstairs bedroom, and my mum was shot to death. This would have been any time in the 1990s, Arkansas or Alabama. They also said Texas, Washington, Connecticut, and Massachusetts. It's hard to tell, but Arkansas and Alabama hit me the most in the gut feeling. They manipulated a lot from what I can tell, and I only really can tell if they're truth based on the way I feel on a soulful level when remembering flashbacks, like which one hits on a deeper emotional level. I remembered the Auditory family tonight. I don't fucking know. I've heard so many different names at this point that it's hard to tell, honestly. But Jonathan is my name, potentially. Don't know if this will get traction, but thanks for hearing my story. Hopefully, this will get resolved. 7 months of this, and I'm worn out. A very sad story. I feel really bad for OP, and really hope that they're doing okay. The first step here would be to get a DNA test. OP has mentioned that they've got an ancestry already, but are going to try out other providers too. It seems as though they didn't really get much from it, but it is wise for them to do all of the tests that they possibly can. Something has got to turn up eventually, and the truth might be there. Some people have pointed out that it's possible the kidnapping memories are misconstrued, and that OP actually was even more heavily abused by the people they grew up with than they imagined. If a DNA test turned up that they were actually OP's biological parents, it wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility to say that this option is likely. Getting their birth certificate would also be a good move. Also looking at family photos to see if there are any pictures of their apparent mum pregnant. Of course, they could have just not taken photos, but the birth certificate would give them the answers that they are looking for, so they should 100% try to track that down. I really hope that OP can find out the truth about their life, because it's awful not knowing. Whatever the case is with what happened to them, I really hope they're doing okay. I wish them all the best, and good luck in their search. This Redditor thought they had a good relationship, until they discovered their boyfriend doing something horrendous. I don't even know how to say any of this. I, 26 female, just found out my boyfriend, 28 male, the person I've loved for over 5 years, has been masturbating to gore videos. I caught him red-handed, and I cannot stop replaying it in my head. This is a man who has always been so sweet and gentle, unlike anyone I've ever met before. Like, genuinely kind to the core. He won't even kill spiders, he just traps them in a cup and puts them back outside. He's sweet, caring, patient, soft-spoken, literally has never even raised his voice at me or made me feel unsafe in any kind of way. Yesterday, I walked into our office really late at night, and at first, I thought he was just gaming or watching porn, and I didn't even care. I figured, whatever, it happens, but it wasn't porn. It was gore. The most disgusting, graphic videos of real people being hurt in the most brutal ways, and he was masturbating to it. I didn't say anything because what am I supposed to say or do in that situation? I just turned around and walked straight into the bathroom and cried until I felt like I was going to throw up. I wish I could unsee it. I can still picture the screen, the sounds he was making, and him sitting there like it was completely normal to be doing what he was doing. I don't think I've ever felt so sick in my life. I thought I knew him, and now I don't even want to be in the same room as him. I don't feel safe around him, and I don't know if that's rational or not. I can't touch him, can barely speak to him. I can't even look him in the eyes without feeling this sense of dread and disgust. Now, my mind keeps spiraling, like, what if this escalates? What if there's something seriously wrong with him? I mean, this isn't normal. This is sick. He's sick. I'm sitting here crying while typing this because I don't know what to do or who to talk to. I feel completely alone in this. I can't tell my friends or family because it feels too heavy, too gross and grotesque to even say out loud. I'm scared they'll look at me differently or think I'm exaggerating. I don't know what to do. Part of me wants to pack my things and never come back, but I'm in shock, and I can't just throw away 5 years of my life, of the life me and him built together. I can't stop crying, I can't eat, I can't sleep. I just needed to get this out somewhere because I feel like I'm losing my mind. Edit. I forgot to specify, but he didn't notice that I walked in on him since he was wearing headphones and was very engrossed with what was happening on his screen. And now that I've seen a handful of people ask, yes, he was 100% watching gore. Not porn, not hardcore BDSM stuff. This was straight up gore, like people being severely injured and or killed. No doubt about it. Update. He definitely knows something is up, but I feel very unsafe being alone with him while confronting him about this whole thing, so I haven't brought it up. But it's getting late, and I hope he's asleep. I've made the decision to leave him a note and go stay at my brother's place for the night, since I'm honestly horrified my boyfriend might do something while I'm asleep. Which, yes, I know seems irrational and maybe a bit dramatic, but I don't know what to think or feel anymore. I'm really exhausted. I'm trying my best. What an absolutely awful situation for OP to be in. The disgust and dread they felt is totally understandable. It's absolutely terrible to find someone you love doing something that messed up, especially if you thought you really knew them. I'm honestly very scared for OP in this situation because if the person can get off to something like that, then they could potentially be very dangerous. I don't need to tell you guys this, but it's not normal to pleasure yourself to people getting hurt, and if they enjoy that, God knows what they are capable of. After taking some time to themselves, OP went back to the house to get some of their things. This is the update they provided. I stopped by our house a bit ago, just to grab a few of my things, and it was awful. I went while he was still at work, just to be safe. Some of my stuff was gone or ruined. He had tossed some of my clothes out, and a few personal items had been broken as well. Some irreplaceable and very sentimental items that he's very aware means a lot to me. I don't know if it was done in a fit of rage or if it's some fucked up way to try to punish me for leaving, but it scared me a lot. I have never seen him act this way. I grabbed what I could and left right away. I'm going back to stay with my brother for now. He has been blowing up my phone, and I'm seriously considering blocking his number for the time being. I need some time to get my thoughts together and figure out what to do next, but I'll update again when I can. Maybe make a new post so this one doesn't become too long and disorganized. Thank you to everyone for supporting me and being so kind and understanding. I'm still trying to wrap my head around this. In the comments section, OP provided some context as to their relationship with the boyfriend. They said that during their sexual encounters, he would sometimes get rough with her without consent and grab her really hard and shove her face into pillows. They also didn't discuss boundaries, and she says that her boyfriend just does stuff like that. She did one time ask him why he was so rough with her, and he got upset and made her feel bad. This is top tier manipulation, and he's literally trying to make her feel invalid just because he can't handle a healthy relationship. 3 days later, OP would return to the subreddit to provide another update. I didn't expect my other post to garner that much attention. It's honestly been a bit overwhelming. I want to say thank you to everyone who reached out with advice and support. I have read so many of your comments and DMs, and I honestly don't know what I would have done without the encouragement and kindness I have received here. I will update again when things are more stable, but for now I just want everyone to know that I am safe. Here is the update some of you have been asking me for. My, now ex-boyfriend, somehow found out I was staying with my brother and showed up unannounced late last night. That in itself was terrifying, but I finally confronted him about what I had seen, and he almost immediately broke down. He started crying and saying that he didn't mean for me to see that he didn't know what was wrong with him, and that he's sick, and kept repeating, "You need to help me," over and over again. I felt awful. He made me feel responsible for all of this, and I felt guilty for being scared, for leaving, and for not saving him. I don't know what triggered this response, but he went from crying to being downright furious in seconds, and became very loud and aggressive. He backed me into a corner, and slammed his hand against the wall right next to my head a few times. I was honestly convinced he would actually try to hurt me in that moment. He told me if I didn't come home, he didn't know what he might do, and he insinuated that our cats wouldn't be safe, and that he would harm himself. He said if anything happens to him or our cats, I would only have myself to blame. Thankfully, my brother intervened. The police now know what's going on, and I'm working on getting the help and support I need. But I still don't have my cats. I have no idea what to do. They are technically his cats since he bought them, so legally I can't do much. All I can do is hope he hasn't hurt them, or himself, and just wait. That part is really killing me. I have no idea how to process any of this. I feel like I'm still in shock. Part of me just hopes that this is some sort of nightmare I'll wake up from, but it just continues to get worse. I feel so confused and heartbroken. I still want to see the good in him, but don't know if that person even exists anymore. Did that person ever exist in the first place? I love him so much, but he doesn't feel like the man I love anymore. I wanted to marry and start a family with this man, and everything came crashing down because I was afraid. It's confusing, and it hurts in a way I can't fully describe. Small update. He has now sent me multiple pictures to show me that he has indeed harmed himself. I don't even know how many voicemails he has left at this point, but he doesn't sound angry anymore. He's just crying and begging me to come home. I know he's trying to manipulate me, but I feel like a piece of shit right now. As far as I'm aware, the cats are okay. I'll go back home, maybe tonight or tomorrow morning, to get my stuff, and hopefully he'll allow me to take the cats with me. Update 2. I'm sorry. I didn't expect so many people to remember me or worry, and it honestly feels weird seeing strangers online care more than some of the people I talk to in real life. I didn't mean to vanish. I just mentally could not handle reading or talking about anything related to this situation for a while. Thank you again for showing support and caring enough about me to check in. It means a lot to me. A lot has happened since my last update. I didn't end up going back the next day like I said I would. I was terrified, and I kept going back and forth, convincing myself I was overreacting, then underreacting, then being dramatic, then not being dramatic enough. I went back to my house Thursday, and I made sure to go at a time where I knew my ex would be at work. My brother came with me, of course, but he stayed outside to keep an eye out in case my ex came back unexpectedly. As soon as I stepped into the house, I saw that my ex seemed to have destroyed a lot of furniture and a lot of my belongings as well. I don't even care about that anymore. I have no idea how to say this next part, because I know it's my fault, and I could have done something to prevent it if I just hadn't been such a coward. I don't need hundreds of comments telling me I'm a horrible person and that I failed my cats, because I know I did, and I'm sorry. One of our cats is gone, nowhere to be found. I'm convinced she ran away, maybe escaped through the open window or something like that. But upstairs, in our bed, my other cat was dead. I don't know how much I'm allowed to say here without breaking any rules, but it was brutal and inhumane. I have never felt that kind of gut-wrenching, overwhelming dread and terror in my entire life. I thought he was manipulating me or trying to scare me into coming back when he threatened me and our cats. Having known him for as long as I have, I would have never guessed that he would hurt an animal, especially not my sweet girl. I hate myself for being so dumb and naive. I'm doing everything I can to try and find my other cat. I still don't know what to think or feel, and it's like I haven't even fully processed that any of this is real. I'm really sorry that this update probably isn't what you wanted to hear. I feel like my life is falling apart, and there's nothing I can do to stop it from spiraling further and further out of my control. An absolutely awful update, and this is where everything ends. There are no more posts from OP, and we can only hope that they are doing okay. This was an awful situation for them to be put in, and the boyfriend is a manipulative, fucking serial killer-esque asshole. He is trying to make her feel like she's the one in the wrong for not helping him, even though that responsibility should be on him, never anyone else. The fact that he went on and hurt an animal as well, he needs to be locked up and left to rot. A person who does stuff like that just deserves to not have a life, to be honest. This is going to be extremely difficult for OP to ever recover from. To find out that your significant other was hiding this side to them will make it really hard for them to trust anyone ever again. I'm not only praying that they are safe, but also that they can find some way to move forward in their life, both in relationships and everything else. They need to know that this is not their fault and never will be. Now, all they can do is focus on recovery and hope that this scumbag gets what he deserves. This person came to the RBI subreddit because they found an abandoned car in their neighbourhood with very strange equipment inside. As I arrived home, I noticed a Toyota Tundra truck near my usual parking spot in front of my house, so I thought it was no big deal. Once that truck leaves, I will move my car forward. Hours later, I checked outside, only to see a Dodge Journey parked at that spot, also where the Toyota Tundra was before. So I assumed it was probably family that was visiting or random parking there for some reason. Forward to the next day, I still saw the same Dodge Journey at that same spot, and the neighbours also were not familiar with whom that car belonged to. I went to investigate the Dodge Journey, observed around the car, marked the license plates and VIN, and also took photos of the inside of the car, just to understand why this car was abandoned here. The owner of this car is nowhere to be seen. I also saw there were a bunch of stickers on the cargo box, and the car inside appeared empty, except for being hairy with fur and random fast food bags. So I did contact the police about this abandoned car, and I was told there was nothing that the officer could do about it since it's on public property, despite being in front of my house anyway. So I left it as it is, until the next day, and it was afternoon, so I checked, and the same car was still there. So I ignored it again, and waited until the other day, which has been about 72 hours since that car has been staying there. My cousin, who lives in my neighbourhood, told me about how this part of the cargo box looked a bit weird, where the inner part of the letter O is different from the plastic of the cargo box. The large sticker name in the cargo box is Fox, so my cousin was thinking it was a camera. So I decided to investigate further about it. I grabbed myself a flashlight to beam through the film and used my phone camera against the film to take a photo through the see-through plastic. At first, I thought it was nothing much, because I first saw a cereal box, then there was a second see-through plastic, and captured to be what it looked like a large camera lens, and a third see-through plastic. I captured an image of a bunch of electronics and a large car battery inside. It had a keyboard, router, cables, and the camera housing. I also noticed a sticker on a device that shows the entire IP address and leads to a remotely connected router page, but the IP shows as Chicago, T-Mobile, despite the car being in an entirely different state. Also, there was a strong Wi-Fi signal connection near this car, which has its SSID hidden. I also did check to see the angle at which that camera is watching, and I correlated the angle to one house that it is looking at. which I have found really weird because I never suspected the neighbours to be anything special or have any issues going on with them. I know there's a father and a mother who live there and walk their dogs every day and have always lived there. There's a son that they have who I also played with when we were kids, but I have never talked to him ever since, so it was unusual. Why is there some sort of surveillance equipment in these neighbourhoods? This is where I decided to check in my cameras that I have from the beginning to see how this Dodge Journey was left there. Based on my observation, before I have arrived home, I saw a Nissan Rogue arrive at the same spot like the other two cars. The Nissan Rogue stayed there for an hour. As the Toyota Tundra arrived, the Nissan Rogue left the area, and the Toyota Tundra stayed there for an hour. As the Dodge Journey arrived, the Toyota Tundra left the area, but stopped nearby based on the camera I captured. I observed this man leaving the Dodge Journey, walk away to the Toyota Tundra, and get in the truck. Then they left. This is where the Dodge Journey stayed for 76 hours. So after 76 hours, it is the afternoon. As I was observing my cameras, I noticed that the Dodge Journey had disappeared. So I went to check in my recordings, and I have observed a Chevrolet Silverado circle the area and left the area and stopped nearby. The Toyota Tundra arrives close to my house and drops off the same man who left his Dodge Journey. As the man went to his car, the Toyota Tundra left the area and stopped behind the Chevrolet Silverado, and as the man drove his Dodge Journey and caught up behind the two trucks, they all leave together, like some convoy. I was not able to capture the occupants in the trucks since their windows were all blacked out. Since this event, they were never seen again, and the IP address connection to that router was offline. Below are links to the photos I have captured inside the cargo box. The IP address was marked because I am unsure of the legality. Also, I don't know if it is a private investigator or a government agency, and what worried me is I have a hard time determining it's a PI. I thought PIs are like a 1 or 2 man group, and not to this level of sophistication of cars, convoys, backup. OP attached a video and it shows what they described. Cars coming and leaving and being left in that spot looking at that one house. One point of concern is that whoever this person is, they likely have a lot of photographs and video of OP looking inside of their vehicle and taking their own pictures. We can only hope whoever it is doesn't have any malicious intents, because if that were the case, OP could be in incredible danger if they were actually caught snooping around. On the other side of things, it is perfectly legal to park a car on a public street and leave it there. They didn't say that there was any rented parking spot or anything like that, and considering the vehicle was only left there for what could be considered a short period of time, it's hard to consider it genuinely abandoned. Being totally realistic here, I think it would be realistic for OP to assume there's about to be a police raid in their neighbourhood. This seems like surveillance from law enforcement if I had to guess, and it seems to be directed at whoever is in that specific house. It could also be a private investigator, maybe for some sort of divorce lawsuit like other commenters have suggested, or it could be something like the cult of Scientology, who apparently often spy on former members. I don't blame OP for being nosy. I would be too, but calling the authorities on a car that's been there for 18 hours is a bit strange to me. I get you want to know what's going on, but come on now, at least wait a little bit longer. OP hasn't provided any more updates to this post, but if they ever do, I'll be sure to include it in the pinned comment. Hopefully, nothing malicious is going on, and that it simply was just a strange one-time thing. Someone's CEO was expressing extremely strange behaviour towards young male employees, so they came to the internet to tell the story. I work for a small organisation in middle management. Our CEO has asked 2 of our young male staff members, who are early in their careers and at the bottom of the hierarchy, if they would like to try her breast milk more than once. Once one said, "That's inappropriate," and she laughed. I don't supervise either young men, but they confided in someone who I supervise, who told me. They told the person I supervise that they feel targeted and like she wants them to feel scared / off kilter. We do have an external HR person and a board of directors. In the past though, HR reports among staff have been very badly handled by the CEO, think breaking confidentiality and obvious favoritism, so there is obviously even less faith about how she will handle a complaint against her. I perhaps made a mistake, but I reached out to the external HR person with vague details to find out the protocol for what would happen if these co-workers reported it and who they could report it to, because I wanted to understand and be able to advise them on next steps, maybe for the person I supervise. HR said they could report to HR, the CEO, or directly to the board, but there is no guarantee of confidentiality and that we must act if I'm aware of harassment. I'm not sure what to do next. Obviously, our CEO is not a very trustworthy person, and our board has had some pretty major issues over the years, and many are close friends of the CEO. I feel like I made a mistake reaching out to HR. It's unclear if the impacted employees wanted to pursue any report at all. I want them to feel comfortable at work, and I also want our CEO to be accountable for her actions, but I know both of these things are outside of my control, and I worry I bungled both through my info seeking. I'm also in such a crazy work environment that I'm questioning if it is even that bad. It is, right? Pretty uncool for a grand boss to offer young staff members breast milk. What a strange and inappropriate thing to do. This is so crazy. My head is literally on Mars and I honestly cannot believe what I've just read. The fact that there is no confidentiality at all when it comes to reporting stuff is pretty disturbing. I mean, how can you expect to have a good working environment when not only is the CEO an utter freak, but people don't even feel comfortable reporting to HR? This is sexual harassment, and even if it won't be kept private, this needs to be escalated and reported. It is a very serious matter and one that must be dealt with as soon as possible. A few months later, Opie provided an update and said that the employee affected decided to write a letter, and 95% of union members signed off on it. However, Opie said that the board received the letter, chose not to respond after nearly 3 weeks, despite it being contracted that they must respond in 5 working days. According to gossip, the board apparently considered the letter dramatic and chose not to address it. Opie was offered a new job in the end at a different company, and they chose to take it. It's sad that there's not really a proper ending to this one, because for all we know, this disturbing activity is still going on. Intimidation through breast milk is something I had never heard of before reading this story, and to be honest, I think I'd be content never hearing it again in my life. Let's hope that the company has gotten better, but to be honest, I'm not counting on it. This Redditor and their husband were experiencing the same auditory hallucinations, and they had no idea what was going on. Not really looking for advice, just thoughts and opinions. The background. My husband has an old style clock radio on his nightstand, the type where all the buttons are on top, volume, alarm, time, etc. His alarm setting is not connected to the radio settings, so the radio is on very low volume as it's not needed to wake him up. This bit is relevant, I promise. Every now and then, one of our cats will walk across it and turn on the radio. The volume is so low that we don't even notice it, but one day we heard music as we were sitting eating dinner. Nothing in the house was on, no TV or anything else. We were looking around, and sure enough, one of the cats had walked over the radio and turned it on. We had a laugh about those damn cats and forgot about it. That was a few months ago, around New Year's. Now, maybe 2 weeks ago or so, I heard what I thought was the same thing. Music, but barely audible. I assumed it was the same scenario with the cats, so I go to turn off the alarm, except it's not on. After doing that, I went and checked our computers, TVs, and anything else that could possibly make that noise, and nothing was on. I'm old, I hear things, went about my business, but last week, husband came up to me and said, I have a really stupid question, are you ready? And of course I am. He went on to say that when he's in the living room, he can hear music, very faintly, but he hears it. I was gobsmacked and told him I had been experiencing it too. I can also hear it in the bathroom, which is just across the hall from the living room, but he only hears it in the living room. We are, to say the least, puzzled. Now we are not only hearing the music, still at the same very low volume, except sometimes we can make out a beat or a chorus, and we are hearing the same song at the same time. And it's not constant. We can go days without hearing anything, and we never hear it at night when we are in bed. Any thoughts? We have checked the CO2 detectors and smoke alarms. They are fine. In fact, we just replaced all of them last year because they were 9 years old. This is so strange, and I really wonder what's going on here. CO2 is literally the first thing my mind jumped to, but if their detectors are definitely working, then that makes the situation even more confusing. One of the first things that stands out to me is that what they're hearing is faint. That indicates to me that it could be them hearing their neighbour's speaker through the walls or the roof. They never mentioned whether they live in a flat or a house or if they even have any nearby neighbours, so we don't really know what their circumstances are, but it does seem possible. Commenters have also suggested that someone could be secretly living in their house. They could be playing something, and of course, if they didn't know that they were there, they may jump to other options. It does seem weird that they are jumping straight to hallucinations, especially when there are many other possibilities, but to be fair, if I was in that situation, I would also possibly jump to the very out there options. Hopefully, they can figure out what is going on, and for their sake, I hope that it's nothing bad. Thank you so much for making it to the end of this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share the video because it really helps the channel. If you're listening on Spotify, don't forget to rate the podcast 5 stars and give it a follow so you never miss a post. Also, make sure you turn on post notifications wherever you are. You do not want to miss these uploads that are coming. Let me know in the comments section what story interested you the most, especially about that last one, because I don't know what that sound could be. And if you want me to read your story or have any topics, you can submit them over on Reddit at r/Jessicur or email it to jessicurbusiness@gmail.com. Don't forget to check me out on social media. I have Instagram, Blue Sky, and Twitter, and if you want to get involved with the community, then you can join my Discord server using the link in the description. Thank you so much to my Jessicur Plus members who continue to support the channel: Morrigan, Alex Rod, K4 Silver, Entrepreneur, Collectiki, Brooke, Carmilla, Based Finger, Midnight Kitty, River Camera, Willow, Briar, Frozen Roses, Jessicur, Shiv the Shrew, Rudy Jazz, Mikey Poopy, Clara, and Ivo Space. If you want to support the channel, then make sure you check out Jessicur Plus. There are over 100 videos on there, and it's a great way to support the channel, especially if you want extra content. But of course, subscribing and liking are more than enough, and if you don't want to go to my website, then you can go to Patreon or become a member here on YouTube as well. But if you want the most benefits from Jessicur Plus, then head over to jessicur.com for more information. I'll be back very soon with another video, but if you want another right now, then YouTube thinks that you like the video that's on your screen.